of the gods. We changing out the frauds.
Seatbelts now.
I these lions heart like my name ended in Oz.
Your clients have stolen from me.
That's not my problem.
It is now. Dad.
Well, they told me take this mother by storm. Get the money and they bitches bring the prize home.
It's time for revenge.
Yes, so as I embark, this where begin starts. I write my own happy ending, hit sharp.
All right. Man, this is nice. This is nice. AOL, how are we feeling, AOL? Ed, Ray, what do you guys think of when you hear AOL? What's the first thing that pops in your head?
Big American company. Far-reaching. Global.
I like that. American, global, far-reaching. Ed, give me something.
I just think, the internet. That's literally the first thing I think of, yes.
Yeah. What I think about is that meme that they have now with the Running Man and the dial-up, and it says, what kids these days won't know, like the struggle. So that's what I think of when I think of AOL. But, I mean, we have two stars here, one up-and-coming, one well-known. You guys put your hands together for Ray Stevenson and Ed Skrein. How does it feel when people say you're a fresh face? I mean, you've been on Game of Thrones. How fresh can you be if you've been on Game of Thrones?
I mean, I've been through many lifetimes, and on my creative journey, I've done a lot of things, and the thing that makes me laugh the most is I've always been up and coming. Since I was 16, I've been up and coming. So I'm, maybe I'll always be that up and coming, fresh-faced actor, but I'll take it. I've been called a lot worse than that, so I'll take it.
And Ray, you haven't been up and coming in quite some time.
No, I haven't been up and coming in a long time, actually. But I'm still here.
But you're still here.
Yeah. No, I was once described as the newest old face in Hollywood because I started late in movies, so it's just like, no, you're a new face. You're kind of older, but a new face. You're like that old new guy or the new old guy. I don't know. It worked. I'm not complaining as long as the work's there.
New old guy. Tell us, just being back there in agreement with you guys and hearing you guys talk about your son speaking so many languages and just your eating diet, your regimen. Are you still in workout mode, or you seem to be eating very healthy and taking care of yourself?
I mean, even when I'm not training for a movie, I'm still training 6 days a week. I'm addicted to it. The only bad thing about this press tour and being able to travel the world, meet interesting people, and see the beautiful world is that I don't get to train 6 days a week. So, and I love healthy food, but I've been eating cheeseburgers out here. I've been drinking, and I've been having a lovely time. So, this is the downtime. But when I'm downtime, I still love to eat clean and eat healthy. Your body smiles when you look after it.
And Ray, you are, because I didn't look up your height before this, and this is my first time meeting you, but Ray is statuesque. I mean, you're out, 6'4", 6'5"?
It's about 6'4". I was in my socks. But there's a lot to fill. I mean, I was watching when Ed was having this super healthy, very green bowl and to me, that's not food. That's what food eats. And so I'm kind of Viking old school. If it's got a face, I'll kind of eat it and wash it down with a good ale or a whiskey or something like that. Yeah.
What is your favorite ale by?
Well, I am a whiskey drinker. I like my single malt Scotch whiskies. I'm not really a beer drinker. I don't know. It just kind of gives me wind. I'm never got into that.
You said it gives you wind?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's explore that. Go into that, Ray.
Real ale. All that sort of hops and barley and stuff. I like it a little bit more distilled. Well, a lot more distilled, shall we say. Yeah.
Well, Transporter Refueled.
Yeah, let's get back on point.
So now, I mean, we're calling it a reboot. Would you guys call it a reboot? I feel like it's a completely different story.
I mean, I always feel like the shoot is for me, the character's for me, and as soon as we wrap, then it's for other people to put monikers on it, names on it, go out there, it's for the marketing team, it's for you guys to dissect it, and most importantly, it's for the fans, so I find it very difficult to put names and taglines to it,
Yeah, it's like, it's wrong to put like numbers on it, like, this isn't number 4.
It's like saying Batman, the Dark Knight wasn't, Batman number whatever, 6, 7 or whatever. It was Batman the Dark Knight. It was a refreshing, a re-envisioning, and that's what we have here.
Now, taking us on, because the last Transporter 3, this is back in 2008. 7 years later, we're coming out with Refueled. Was there some sort of ceremonial passing of the torch from Jason Statham to you? Did you speak to him at all? Was there any sort of email at least?
I mean, I tried to reach out to him respectfully, and you know, my avenues were exhausted, and I look forward to us two connecting, you know, at some point in the future.
Now, the scene, your opening scene, you beat up 6 guys in a parking lot with a shopping bag.
And the iPhone as well.
And an iPhone as well.
Don't forget that.
Yes, I can't forget the iPhone technology. So now, before this, right after seeing the movie, I read up on this, and you had no martial arts training whatsoever before taking on this role. Is that something that kind of deterred you away from taking a role, or?
Oh man, that was something that made me want to do it, you know. The great thing about this job is we get to learn new skill sets and stuff. You know, in this job, I've got to learn to ride a horse. Like this little boy from North London, we didn't ride horses in North London. So, you know, to learn this stuff is incredible. You know, I grew up a competitive swimmer, you know, so I've always had a background in sports and, you know, stamina and capacity, but taking that on is like going from the piano to a wind instrument. You know, it's like you have a feel for music, but it's completely different. I had to start from scratch, but that was the great part of it. I worked with an incredible team, Alain Figlars, Stefan and Laurent. They're an incredible team, you know. We met as colleagues and we left as brothers.
Now, the stunt coordinator that you mentioned a lot, he vouched for you. I guess they were the last few actors that were up for the role, and he said, I like Ed. You had to like prove yourself in some test. What test was this? I assume it's not multiple choice.
Yeah, it was it was hilarious because, you know, it was the second audition, so I had to go to, they said, right, Luc Besson wants to audition you in Paris. So I said, great, you know, even if I don't get the part, I can go, I can meet Luc and I can learn from him for those 2 hours, you know. I'm at a stage where I just need to grow. So I went there, I turned up, I was wearing my Louis Vuitton overcoat, my blue suede shoes, you know, I looked double smart. I made the effort, but I didn't want to dress like the transport. I just wanted to, you know, do my thing. And I got there and he was like, you bought something to change into though, right? And I was like, pardon? And he was like, yeah, we're going to do stunts for an hour and a half. You know, have you got something to change into? I was like, oh, okay. So then I became that guy, the kid in school that forgot their PE kit. And I did stunts for an hour and a half with Alain Figlars and Laurent, and in my socks, in my jeans, and they gave me a Lucy camera department T-shirt that was lying around, and you know, he kept, you know, we did all these, you know, disarm exercises and some striking and stuff, and it was fun. You know, I like a challenge. You know, while I was doing it, I felt out of my depth. You know, I knew that I wasn't doing everything perfectly, but you know, I respect the craft. You know, I know that if you put the work in, then you can learn it and you can pick it up. So, you know, I can't believe that they saw something in me in those hour and a half without a PE kit. And then after that, Luke came at the end of that and said, here's a scene, learn it, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I was like, wow, okay, this is a roller coaster.
This is before you get the job, before you even got
the second audition, and bear in mind, I did another one afterwards. And so I learnt the scene, you know, in 10 minutes, and did that, and you know, got some great pointers from Luke, and went home, spoke to my agent. I was like, why didn't you tell me I was supposed to have a PE kit? She was like, there was no memo. He wanted to see me with all the layers pulled back, you know. And if you're going to hire someone and put them under pressure and put your heart and soul and your faith into them, you need to see them at their worst, you know, out of the comfort zone. And I think that's a good way of doing it, you know.
Well, now that we found you out of your comfort zone, you were casted first, I believe, and they wanted like this very serious straight man to play Frank Martin Jr., but to play his father, they wanted, I guess, someone very different. Someone bit, I guess, the comic relief.
I don't know about that. I think the comedy just sort of came out of the playing quite naturally. I think we hit it off very well. So it's from straight off the bat. And I mean, I don't want to cause any confusion by saying it was just so easy to work with Ed. It was just every day was you go there and play and go there, and I had the best job. I mean, I could just turn up. I'm playing some hammy old spy, so I'm just, all right, son, listen, right, you'll be all right. You know, so make me proud, son. But in a way, he's been there before. But Ed just made it so easy and so accessible, and so that he has all this knotted turmoil, and I'm there going, I'll buy a bottle of wine, I'll cook a meal, we'll have a chat. What are you doing? Who's this? Who's on the phone? You know what I mean? I was blessed with an easy task on this one.
What's something about Ed that we wouldn't know? I mean, he's so up and coming and fresh. So let us know, Ray.
You know what? His sense of humor it cracks me up all the time. His knowledge of music and the arts and the film industry, but music is profound and as far-reaching as anybody you could ever hope to have a conversation with. I mean, that's from all walks of music, but especially in the London scene, and it's breathtaking. And you learn. I just learned so much from it. And this enthusiasm, you can't fake it. You can't lie. It's like kids when they play. They play so honestly and so truthfully, and that's what he brings every single day. And a commitment.
Thank you.
That's true, man.
He's blushing right now, right?
And he blushes. Yeah.
Actually, when I looked you up, one of the first things that popped up was it says rapper turned actor. How do you feel about that? The rapper turned actor. Do you still consider yourself a rapper?
Well, I was a painter turned rapper while he was a swimming and athletics coach.
You were just
actor.
everywhere.
So, you know.
Teenager.
Yeah, messed up in the head, confused. No, I mean, you know, all of these things along the journey have been brilliant, you know, and you know, I've always been a romantic about the craft, and it's about the act of doing it, you know. For me, the idea of being a star, being on a billboard means nothing to me. That's paper. What I love is being on set. I love getting from A to B with the scene, you know, having it in black and white and then making it a reality and, you know, feeding off the energy and learning from people like Ray, you know. So when it came to the music, you know, for us it was all about the creation, the inception. You know, we'd stay up until 7 a.m. because we loved it. I didn't make any money off that. I was underground. Every now and then I get a PRS check for £5.75. You know, if I'm lucky I get a 40 quid one. So, you know, it was born out of love. You know, we loved it. We were underground and it was a beautiful time. In a lot of ways it gave me a sort of creative, I was surrounded by a lot of creative, you know, street entrepreneurs, and it gave me a kind of work ethic that I love. And the same thing with painting, you know. I never wanted to be in galleries. I never wanted to be a famous painter. I had to paint. I had to make marks. Right now I don't have to, I don't feel the need to. I can walk away from things just like that, you know. And the day, I always used to say with the hip hop that the day that I stopped feeling it in my stomach, I'll just walk away, and I did. And the same with this, you know. You can feel my enthusiasm for this. I'm supposed to be here right now. But who knows where the path is going to go? And who knows where it's going to go next? All I know is that whatever I do, I'll do with pure enthusiasm and hunger for the art.
I feel like we have a lot of Ed fans in the house. A lot of Ed Skrein fans. Anyone? Yes? Yeah. Can Ray get some love? Is there any Ray Stevenson fans in the house as well?
There's one over here.
With your background in painting, I love the AOL studio. I think what we have here is very nice. But with your artistic site, what color would you change this around if you could change around AOL builds?
I love like modernist stuff, so like this is a really interesting building to me. And you know, the beautiful thing about grey is when that's contrasted with like crazy colors, and your shirt's doing it right now, bro. You're providing the color.
Crushing it right now, crushing it. Ed said I'm crushing it, I'll take it. Oh man. So now working with Ray, this legend, I mean, I read that you played Jesus Christ back in like 2000, like just, you've done it all.
Yeah. So it's definitely a performance. I got crucified in 8 times a week. But, yeah. What more can you say? Well, yeah, I mean, it was a York, what they call the mystery place. There's a place in Germany called Oberammergau where every 10 years they play out the cycles, the 12 cycles of the cross, 12 stations of the cross. And that's sort of world famous. And every 10 years people go and watch them. And in York, in England, every 4 years, since medieval times, every city guilds would display one of the stations on a card. So the whole town would come out and follow the stations all the way around, leading to the 12th one outside the minster, outside the church, and then go inside and then have their worship. Now, in the millennium year, they decided to host the whole series of these plays, all by 200 local people, local guilds, inside the Minster itself, its cathedral. And they put 1,000 seats in and huge rake stage, had a director from the Royal Shakespeare Company, Gregory Doran, and every year they would choose one professional actor to come in to play Jesus Christ. And I got approached about this, and I thought, well, this doesn't happen every day. So I thought, yeah, and one of the most funniest things was there was a guy there, he was a bit care in the community, and he's the only guy out of 200 actors that had a stand-in, because on Saturday mornings he had a paper round, and he couldn't make the play on Saturdays, on the matinee, because this guy, he was in his 50s, he even cut his hair with his own pair of scissors for the play, but he was the only one with a stand-in because he didn't want to miss his paper round. And that's the heart of that community, putting those shows together, and every 4 years he played the leper. So that was it. He turned up the audition. He says, I'm here for the audition. Do you want to see my leper? And I said, yeah. He says, oh, John, where are they? See my crutch where it flies. See my... All right. And he said, I think you've got the part. Yeah, absolutely. But that was lovely. It was a strange experience.
From what I noticed with actors that start with the stage, start in theater, that love never leaves. So I wonder, we're going to go to some audience questions, but I want to know, do you have any upcoming theater work coming up, and are you interested at all in theater?
Well, I don't. I did a lot of theatre. I've done Shakespeare on stage in the West End and Royal Court and National Theatre in London. It's just, for me, coming late to it as well, my fascination has always been with some form of filmmaking. I have loved the theatre and love it still. I wouldn't dismiss any opportunity to actually do it again. But my first passion has to be that lightning in a bottle that you're constantly seeking on filming, and that very concentrated bubble of people that work so hard, so closely together to achieve the end result. And so that never loses its sort of reach and its passion.
I'd say for me, I'm fascinated by the prospect of the theatre process. I'm only just coming. My first film came out in 2012, so I'm a toddler.
This was Ill Manor, correct?
That was Ill Manners, correct. So I'm really a toddler in this, and I'm at the stage where I need to grow and learn, and being surrounded by people like Ray and Luc Besson is, the perfect womb for growth. But the notion of going out every night and performing, it feels like the music, it feels like gigs. So I love the notion of that, and especially if it was with someone incredible, maybe if it's with Ray Stevenson.
You heard it here first.
Anyone
got to play?
So the prospect is exciting, but I've never set things like I need to do this or that or this. I'll never write anything off. It needs to be the right project with the right director, with the character I can learn from, people that I can, be surrounded by good people, and I would love to one day. We'll see.
We know that you're doing one of your dream roles next year. You're playing Ajax in a new Deadpool movie. How fascinating was that for you, or just crazy, just being on set, knowing you're going to be a comic book villain?
For me, I said I don't set goals and all of that, but I always wanted to be in a superhero movie. I always wanted to. We used to sit in the green room and people would say, I remember on Game of Thrones, sitting around saying, what's your dream role? And superheroes, Marvel, that's what I want to do. And Ray's Punisher Warzone was so incredible. And that's the type of movies that I want to make, because that is a superhero movie with emotion and drama. It's not hammy and over the top. It was an incredible movie, and I loved quizzing him about it. We had our own private Q&As about that. And then, to do something like Deadpool, which is a character which is so iconic and irreverent, but also something which is so unique. It's incredible that Fox were brave enough to put 60 million down now. People were saying to us, low budget superhero movie. I'm like, we got $60 million, man. That's not low budget. But it's incredible, and I feel proud of what we've done. Sometimes, when things are close to your heart like that, like Deadpool's one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe, that it was dangerous in the way that, I could have gone along and it could have gone pear-shaped, could have gone sour, and they could have misrepresented it, but we did exactly what Deadpool should be. We did exactly what the fans want. If you're excited by the trailer, you ain't seen nothing yet. That is a sprinkle. That is 5% of what we've done. Ryan Reynolds owned the character. He was incredible. TJ Miller's the funniest man in the world. Gina Carano is badass. And it's a beautiful thing. Tim Miller is a visionary and is going to be an incredible filmmaker for years to come. And it was a real pleasure and a real honor.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And of course, we know you have 2 Marvel movies on your resume.
Yeah, I know. I was blessed with that. It was very. I'm about one of the 2 actors to have been sort of approached to do 2 distinct Marvel characters, and they are quite different, which is great. And I'll tell you one thing. It was a dream of mine one day to have an action figure. I have to admit, who doesn't? I mean, come on.
I want the Ray Stevenson
I've now
action
got
figure.
I've got 3 action figures. But if you ever get big-headed about it, say, "Do you want to see my action figure? Where's my head?" It's like the kids, "Papa." It's like the head's gone. And I've seen one of my action figures with a Lego head on it. Awesome. Yeah, so that's a great level of Batman. It is. I mean, it's still cool. It's still cool. You see a little mini me in pieces, but still. Yeah.
Oh, man. So let me turn to the audience for our 2 superstars up here. Who has a question for Ray? Who has a question for Ed? Just state your name and begin.
Hi, I'm Rachel. This is for Ed. I read that you prefer to do your own stunts. Why? And what's your favorite or most incredible stunt that you've ever performed?
I like a challenge. I like doing things that I'm not supposed to be good at. When I read the script for Transport, I categorically could not do the stunts that I was supposed to be able to do 2 months later, So I love the process of training. And then once you've gone through that and you've sweated blood, sweat, and tears and lived like a monk and an athlete for a couple of months, then you just want to prove to yourself that you can do it, And that was my first step. So I really wanted to prove to myself. I was able to build on that with Deadpool. Transport is my baby steps. Deadpool's my toddler steps. You better watch out when I'm fully grown. But yeah, I did love doing that. The physical side of it was great. I mean, in the movie, I'd say my favorite in the Transporter, my favorite scene is the scene with all of the drawers. It reminds me of all the old Jackie Chan movies and all the Eastern stuff. So I love that. And but there's a scene in Deadpool where there's all I'll say without spoilers is there was a lot of fire involved, and me and Ryan had a epic battle, which I'm very excited for people to see.
What I really loved in Transporter Refueled was that jet ski scene when you flew in with that kick. That was incredible. How many takes did that take? And was that actually you, or did you have a stuntman?
Well, this is fascinating because, this was another reason why I wanted to do it, because I didn't know how they would shoot these things, And so to find out that we did some of it on green screen in Paris on a jet ski, with no water. Some of it we did with it being pulled along the beach on location. Some of it my stunt double did by himself without a jet ski, just smashing through a glass window. I mean, I think there was about 4 different setups, and it's incredible to see the process, But I'm glad
you were
glad
on
it
the
was worth
ocean.
it.
I saw him in the suit on the ocean, giving it large. I mean, you're selling yourself short. You were skimming across that ocean with a suit flapping in the background. Oh yeah, that was him.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Any more questions for Ray? Any more questions for Ed?
We have time for one more question.
What is your name?
Tanya. My question is for Ed as well. I was just wondering, because you said you hadn't done any martial arts training before the Transporter, how long did you have to train before you started filming?
Well, I did 12 weeks of just strength and conditioning, just in the gym with a trainer in London, just to get, a solid foundation. But they were very specific to me. They said they didn't want me to do any martial arts training before I got to Paris, which seemed strange to me, because I had 12 weeks where I could have learned. But what they wanted was they wanted me to they wanted to forge the style together. I got there and I said, what are we going to do? What movie is it going to be like? And they were like, we're going to tailor it around you. We're going to try lots of different things. We tried so many things that I was just terrible at. So they were like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to play to your strengths. And I was there 3.5 weeks with Alain Figlars, who's just a creative genius and a legend, and Laurent and Stéphane, his incredible assistants. And we trained pretty much 10-hour days, all day long, and we worked our socks off, and it was hard. That was the parts that were hard, getting it wrong and just being like, I've got to get it right. 2 weeks away, I still can't do it. A week away, I can kind of do it. 2 days to go, okay, I can do it now. And I'm glad that we made it in the end. But it was tough. I suppose I needed all the help I could get from the stunt guys, with their fantastic reactions. And, like I say, I'm glad that I was able to that it was okay, because I'm going to build on it from here.
Well, we can't end without speaking about your 4 beautiful co-stars. You guys were surrounded by lovely ladies throughout this whole movie. Lone Chabanel, Gabriella Wright. Tell us a little bit about these ladies. How was it working with them?
Actually, Ray was with them more than me because
I know,
I kind of
I know.
separated myself up, and I was on this like disciplined Frank
Yeah,
Martin vibe, and Ray was just entertaining the ladies.
Well, I mean, you couldn't. They sat down knitting, and I just had to sort of start talking. Yeah, Tatiana Wengsha, Tatiana, Gabriela, and Luan.
And Noemi as well, you know.
And what?
Noemi as well.
Of course, yeah. But I would just be saying about. Oh yes, yeah. Noemi is just like a breed apart. That she's a gazelle. But the four girls, what was strange that you turn your head around and there's these like four little black cocktail dresses with white bobs sort of teetering across. And you say, I wonder if they need a cup of tea or some paternal advice. No, they were wonderful as well. I mean, you know, also, you know, they all had their own individual characters and other. So they were great fun. They were up for it, and you know, we threw them around in cars and threw them into cars, and you know, I don't know how they did half the stuff on high heels. I don't want to know, but I'm very glad they could. So.
Well, there's nothing that says more like back to school, like Transporter Refueled, action, car chasing, four beautiful women soaked in revenge. This is Ed Skrein, Ray Stevenson.
Thank you.
Thank you to the AOL Build
Thanks
audience.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
I'm Kevin
Thank you so
Thompson,
much.
aka Mr. Movie Phone. Transporter Refueled is in theaters September 4th, this Friday. Log on to moviephone.com for theater listings and showtimes near you. Take care.